Hi, everybody. Rob Mazak here. Some of you have seen some of my videos before and follow me on social media, of course. But for those who have not, I am a psychic medium and I have a bunch of different services that I offer. All these services were a calling that I've gotten from Spirit, Universe, God, however you look at that. But certainly they are very rewarding for me to conduct these services, and some of the revelations and information that come from them are pretty awesome. And the funny thing is just when you think you've heard it all, yeah, likely I haven't, because normally what I experience over and over creates patterns and ideas, and when you get it from so many different people, you realize that it's got to be coming from somewhere besides, just somebody's mind, because everybody's saying the same thing or very similar. And so it really makes you pay attention. And however, like I said, I've been doing, for example, I've been doing hypnosis and past life regressions for years. I think it's been like 6 years. I guess I don't know, a long time. But point being is it seems like every time I do them nowadays, almost every single client goes to the spiritual realm, if you will, in an energy body, uh, as one of the lives that we visit. And when it first started happening, it was really kind of a struggle for me to logically move somebody through that space, because when you drop somebody into a normal past life, if you will, if that's normal, anyway, uh, they generally land somewhere at the beginning of the life, and I can logically move them forward in time based on what I and everybody else measures time against, and so fairly easy to do, unless for some reason they land in a life late in life or on the day of death. We have to move backwards, right, and to see what perhaps how we got to this day of death. However, and I also don't necessarily um, try to put somebody or have them go back and regress into a life of their choosing. Occasionally, if somebody's really passionate and adamant about it, I'll give it a shot, and see, because normally the way I look at it anyway, it's up to spirit or the universe or God to decide really what it is that the person needs to see. Although they may feel like they need to address something specific, the universe may not think it's the right time or it's important enough. And so generally I just, leave it up to the universe. And usually within an hour, I can do 2, maybe 3 lives, depending on how detailed the person is as we go through. Um, and anyway, this weekend I went down to a fair in Corpus. Really cool venue. Haven't done it before. It wasn't super busy, but all the practitioners that I met and the people that I met that came through was really worth the drive down there and time it took to do all that. But it was a lot of fun. And when I do fairs, I don't necessarily do regressions or hypnosis. So mostly because it's hard to find a venue that necessarily has a room or a space for you to do that. And if you do find one, it's usually a lot more expensive. And so obviously we live in this life, so money is a thing, right? And so anyway, I usually offer basic services and readings and Reiki and things like that, and to see if then I can perhaps interest somebody in other services if they're interested. However, this lady, wonderful lady actually, said I could use her name, but I'm not going to. Not a cool thing to do. But anyway, she just walked up to my table and just started addressing me by my name. And here I am, and like a duck on the pond, calm on the surface, but feet going like crazy underneath, going, do I know this person? Should I know this person? I'll feel really bad if I've worked with them and I don't remember them, right? Which is easy to do in this business when you talk to a lot of people. However, um, she said that she had come for my hypnotherapy regression, and I was trying to explain to her that I don't normally do that at fairs because and in this case I didn't have a room because they didn't really rent the rooms because nobody was interested, and so, um, but she was pretty adamant that that's really why she came, and I'm like, okay, so we end up talking to the coordinator, and they were able to secure us a room, which was kind of cool. It wasn't entirely prepared, didn't have my recording machine. Anyway, she recorded it. It all worked out. But what was really interesting about it was she was primarily interested in why, somewhere in her 30s, she all of a sudden became afraid of heights and could not seem to drive her car over a bridge, a bridge over water, if you will. And she could not figure out. I mean, she had some ideas because she was pretty intuitive herself, but she just really wanted and was hoping that spirit would bring her the answers or let her see why. And so, what's cool about seeing things from your past life that may still be affecting you in this life is that you can then begin to learn to let that go because you know that it wasn't an experience that happened in this life, and it really should not continue to affect you, after multiple lifetimes have gone by. And so it really does help people heal. It's really cool. And I've seen it happen a lot. And I've had to work through some of my own as well. I mean, it's not just other people's, me as well. But anyway, and so I was prepared to try to purposely bring her into one of those lives. But Spirit came through. It was really cool. She came in the first life. Guess what? Pushed off a cliff at a young age. And but it was not an instantaneous death either, and so it was kind of a process for us to get through it. Kind of laid at the bottom on the, just kind of suffering and slowly dying. Not fun, but and so that was part of the heights, right? And so that was really cool. I'm like, okay, well, that might be our answer. And so I went ahead and went on into another life, and once again at a young age, for some reason, she found herself as a young 20 some odd year old woman in an old car, and I should say a car from older times, like is maybe the 20s or 30s or something, right? And was in the passenger seat and some older man was driving. She had no idea who it was, and we couldn't get any information about who this was to her. But this old man just drove his car off the bridge in a way to end his own life, but he didn't want to do it alone, and so she was on the ride, unwilling. And what was interesting about this one is I remember her asking many times during our session is, why me? Why me? Why me? And finally, the old man decided to go ahead and speak and bring some relevance to it. And he says, "Well, you were pretty and you were available, and I just didn't want to die alone." And so it was. But what the other interesting part was that the whole sequence of coming off the bridge and hitting the water was like in super slow motion, and I end up, it went on for a while, and the whole time she just was running all these questions through her mind and trying to get all these things, and I finally had to speed it up. And then even when she hit the water, it was a long process of dying and questioning, and but fortunately, in the final life we looked at, just for fun, sometimes I like to bring people into a future life, can we prove it? No, but it's really fun and entertaining and intriguing, and a lot of information comes through sometimes. So if we have past lives, goodness, we should have for future lives, right? But anyway, in that life, she was actually able to conquer one of the highest mountains in the time she was living, and so we saw some of the reasons, and we also saw her finally accomplish heights without any trouble. So I haven't talked to her since yesterday, but I have a feeling that this is really going to help her heal. But there was one other interesting thing that came up that I have never run across. When we were in the spiritual world, what I like to do when somebody is there is I like to bring them to the source, God, whatever. Because usually when people are in that space, there's most people refer to it as a source, but this beautiful, bright light of unexplainable love and energy. And anyway, I generally bring people to this source, and I just want to hear how they explain it or try to explain it in our human terms. But this time, when I brought her to the source, different than every single other person, her heart started to hurt. Her heart, literally, while she was on my couch. I mean, she was physically feeling this as well. She said her heart was about to be pulled out of her chest, and she said that this energy was not good. And so when I pulled her away and back into the realm away from the source, she felt at peace again. And so anyway, when we were talking about it after, it was I think the assessment we were able to come up with, as the two of us as intuitives, was perhaps there are deceiving energies out there, even in some of the other realms. And well, of course we know that. There's certain dimensions and planes that there are not such good entities, right? And so maybe perhaps that's where we landed, in maybe the lower astral plane or something. I don't know. But I had written down to this fair with another practitioner, and I told her the story on the way back, and she goes, "What does she call it?" Uh, something like the Antichrist. We called it anti-source, and so I give credit to Daisy for that one. That was kind of fun. But anyway, it's interesting. I like to share these things because every time I have somebody do a regression or hypnosis, there's just some crazy, amazing things that happen, and I learn so much every time, and this is a continuing process for me and for clients. But anyway, I encourage everybody to try it for themselves once, at least once in life, and see what you get, because it's so what's the right word? Rewarding and awesome and healing. And it really sheds light on some of the reasons why we are the way we are, reasons why we do things, why we have fears that we don't understand, that don't make sense in this life, and we can move on and heal from these things. So anyway, just wanted to share. I thought it was really cool. But if you'd like to check out me and what I do, my website is lifebymazak.com, lifebymazak.com. Everything about me, what I do, contact information is all there. Anyway, love to hear from you, and peace, namaste, talk to you later.